Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Stephen Brown, and in today's video, I don't necessarily have a specific topic that I want to talk about in today's video, but let's just have a chat. Let's just have a chat about where we are with the Leafs, where we are with the season, and let's talk about some of the things that are going on. So up on the screen right now are the NHL standings sorted by points percentage since Sheldon Keefe took over as the Toronto Maple Leafs head coach. And I know a lot of people are going to look at the fact that the Leafs are 5th in the NHL over that time, and they're just not going to care. And I'm pretty close to being part of the group that just does not care about this sample size, does not care about the wins and losses and points from that sample size. And maybe I'm being illogical by saying that, but to me, those numbers don't speak to the bigger problem that we've seen with this team over the course of this year, last year, and the season before that, even though they've been top 10 teams in those seasons. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe that says more about us than it does the team. Because if the Leafs have finished top 10 in the standings the last 2 years previous to this one, and we're seeing those problems spread across the last 3 years total, including this one, then maybe these are just problems that every hockey team goes through. Maybe we don't watch enough of other teams play games to realize that we're not the only team in the league that blows third period leads. Now, these are some numbers from that same sample size since Sheldon Keefe took over as Toronto Maple Leafs head coach. And the second furthest column to the right are the actual goals against numbers, and the furthest column to the right are the expected goals against numbers. And the Maple Leafs are sandwiched in between two teams that are thought to be very good defensively, or at least that's the narrative surrounding those teams when they're talked about. So from the time that Sheldon Keefe took over on November 20th until February 5th is the sample size that Dom used in his little expected goals against chart. So this is that same time frame, and the Maple Leafs find themselves 21st in the league in terms of save percentage, just hovering above 900. But then if you look way up at the top, the Arizona Coyotes and the New York Islanders find themselves 6th and 7th respectively, hovering around 910 and 911. So just as a little refresher for myself, the yellow part of this diagram would be considered a low danger scoring chance. The purple area, or the home plate area that gets talked a lot about on the broadcast, would be considered a medium danger scoring chance, and the green little square there, those are high danger scoring chances right in front of the net. And to do that, we're going to take a look at scoring chances allowed or scoring chances against, of course, 5-on-5 in that same sample that Dom provided us with in the graphic. And I believe a scoring chance is constituted as anything inside that home plate area or inside that little green square that we showed in the previous diagram. And I mean, the Maple Leafs, the Coyotes, and the Islanders are all relatively close together, so I would say that Dom's chart's pretty good. And again, all the metrics are at even strength here. And a lot of people want to talk about the Florida Panthers as this big, bad, scary team that the Maple Leafs are never going to be able to overcome. But if we take a look here, the Maple Leafs are sitting at 765 scoring chances against, and the Florida Panthers are sitting at 721 against. But if we take a look at the column to the left, we're going to see that the Panthers have 634 chances for, 721 against. The Maple Leafs 854 chances for and 765 against. So the Maple Leafs are heavily outchancing their opponents, and the Florida Panthers are very not. But let's take a look at a little bit of a different sample size, because I think people were really loving life under Sheldon Keefe for a while, and it's just been more recently that things have turned bitter. And I think that sample goes back to when they lost to the Edmonton Oilers 6-4 on home ice. This was the game that Connor McDavid scored that highlight reel goal and dummied Morgan Rielly, and he was on the highlight reels for like 2 or 3 weeks afterwards. So it's been a very frustrating month or so for the Toronto Maple Leafs and their fans. And that sample consists of about 11 games. And again, I'm going to hit this point home again. Dead last in those 11 games in terms of save percentage. So, I mean, people aren't wrong to harp on the team defense because they've been very middle of the pack. And middle of the pack means not good, but not great. But I want to touch on something that I said earlier in the video. Because is it the Maple Leafs? Are these problems only specific to the Maple Leafs? Or are these problems just everyday run-of-the-mill problems that hockey teams experience over the course of an 82-game season? Because some of the conclusions that I've seen some people come to are not only barbarically lazy, but just certifiably insane. You're gonna seriously sit there and try to tell me that John Tavares is not worth his contract? Get lost. You're gonna really sit there and try to tell me seriously with a straight face, not a clown nose, that this team needs to trade William Nylander for a defenseman still. You're gonna seriously try to sell me that getting 3 out of 4 points in those 2 games against the Ducks and the Canadiens without Anderson, Riley, or Nylander in the lineup is somehow a failure? You're gonna actually try to tell me that all of the problems, all of the woes that the Toronto Maple Leafs have experienced this season are on Tyson Barrie, and he needs to be shipped out of town immediately when all he's done since the coaching change is score at exactly the pace that he was advertised at. And look, Tyson Barrie frustrates me just as much as he frustrates you. Trust me on that one, because he's got shot options galore whenever he's on the ice, whether it be Matthews, Marner, Nylander, or Tavares, but for whatever reason, he winds up for a slap shot at the point and fires it right into the shin pads of the defenders. For whatever reason, that's what he decides to do, and it's internally evergreen frustrating. And yeah, he blew the coverage on the Kovalchuk overtime goal yesterday. But if we're going to take a look at some numbers, again, from Dom Luszczyszyn, and we're going to take a look at here, the biggest reason why Mike Babcock got fired is because he didn't put players in a position to succeed. And when you take a look at these numbers, what does this tell you about Tyson Barrie? It tells you that he should not be on the ice for 3-on-3 overtime. And I am so past talking about the Nazem Kadri trade, because there's not really much to talk about here. He was traded from one team where there wasn't a lot of ice time available to another team who had a lot of ice time to offer him, and his shooting percentage is closer to his career average. I don't know what's so surprising that he has better numbers this year than he did last year. I mean, if you want another example of Connor Brown goes from playing 4th-line minutes on the Toronto Maple Leafs in a defensive-oriented role to the Ottawa Senators playing over 20 minutes a night in an offensive role, and he's on pace for 50 points. I don't see where the surprise is. We are where we are, and we need to make the best of it. And to do that, I've made a little visual that's going to prioritize the problems of this team, and the content of the visual are things that we've talked about in this video, and there's a little bit of a bonus in there, and if you get the bonus, you can give yourself a little pat on the back if you're able to identify it. So I have the chart up on the screen right now. We've got Matthews' mustache, Babcock's ghost, William Nylander, John Tavares, defenders, interesting, and goalies. Now, if you're going to choose to focus on John Tavares, William Nylander, Babcock's ghost, and you've guessed it, the bonus, Matthews' mustache, you are free to not cheer for this team anymore. We will welcome you back on the bandwagon when they make the playoffs, and then you can leave when they get eliminated, or you can leave 6 months from now when the cup fever calms down. And that's not me being dismissive of the other problems on this team. I think that I've been pretty fair in discussing those issues. But guys, when we go back to that sample over the last 11 games or so, you're going to see that the Vegas Golden Knights are second last in the NHL in terms of save percentage. They fired their coach. All of the evidence points towards the goaltending, and I don't know how we can have a conversation that's framed around anything else other than the goaltending as to what's wrong with this team. I don't think I've ever seen a team in this league win anything of any sort of substance with bad goaltending. That's going to be it for this video, guys. I've thrown a lot of information out there on the table, and I don't want the video to be too long, so leave me a like on this one if you did enjoy it. And look for a video. This video should be posted on Monday, so look for a video on Tuesday talking about what the Maple Leafs can do other than just hope and pray for better goaltending, because there are some creative moves that they can make, and I want to go over them. So subscribe for more, because more is always on the way. And guys, I know I've been saying it at the end of all these videos, but the Maple Leafs are going to make the playoffs. It was suggested in the comments section that maybe I should do something if they don't, so leave me a comment down below what you think I should do if they don't make the playoffs. I don't think it's gonna happen, but let me know and maybe we can work something out.